Hello, my name is Mathieu Liénard and welcome to part 3 of my demo about wrangling and querying Pexip Infinity logs to help with troubleshooting using AWS built-in services. In the first video, we sent the Pexip Infinity raw logs into CloudWatch Logs and use AWS Lambda functions to wrangle the logs into JSON. In the second video, we tried to use AWS Glue and Athena to query the logs, which ended up being not appropriate considering the variety of log types we have to deal with in this particular scenario. CloudWatch Logs Insights, however, proved to be far more flexible and easier for this use case. In this video, I will explore deeper querying the logs with CloudWatch Logs Insights. Before getting into the demo, be aware that I updated the GitHub repository of this project. I removed from the CloudFormation template the AWS Glue and Athena part, and I modified the log wrangling function so that it also transforms SIP messages as nested JSON inside the logs in order to be able to query SIP content easily. So let's get into the demo. One of the first queries we can do is to try to list call IDs. So here, I will list the call IDs during that period. So if I run this query, we see the same call ID repeated many times because it's basically showing each and every single log, the call ID for each and every single log. The problem here is that I'm just interested in the list of unique call IDs. I haven't found a built-in way to do this, but I found a workaround. The workaround is to count the list of log messages and group it by block of 1 hour and call IDs. So if I run this query, so I see for each hour the list of unique call IDs, and for each call ID the count of log messages. So basically the count function is allowing me to group the logs by call IDs. So for example, if I'm troubleshooting a call for, I don't know, May 11th at between 10 and 11 p.m. So here I have the list of logs of call IDs that happened during that period. Once I have a call ID, I can then pull all the logs for that call, like in this query, where I will look at call IDs, log messages for a specific call ID. And I will pull like specific fields in the log messages. And here I have all the logs. So here I can see all the different logs. So REST logs, ICE logs. What do I have? Here I have again REST, sending and received logs. So I have all the logs related to that particular call ID. Suppose I just want the communication logs between the client and the server for this particular call. I can refine the filter, and basically now that I have the source address and destination address, filter the logs on those two addresses so that I will basically filter out the other log messages. So this is the query with the added filter here. Searching on the source address for both the client and server. And so here I see the communication logs I can see that it's a WebRTC communication. Here I have the SDP in the first message, and I can look at the details of the logs. If I do the same for SIP logs with the new Wrangling Lambda function, for which I published the new code on the GitHub repository, which also format the SIP messages in JSON, then I can do a query like this. So again, for a specific call ID, filtering the communication logs between the source and destination address, and pulling the SIP header and SDP. So I can do a query like this where I will see so the SIP messages, the source address and ports, and destination address and ports, the type of transport, and the SIP header. So I start with a SIP invite. And here is the SDP, which tells me that here we are in an early offer scenario. And I see the 100 trying, 180 ringing, and the 200 OK reply from the remote party with its SDP. And I can dig through the content. Let's take the 200 OK. So I have the entire SDP detail, and all here you see all the SIP headers. So I think this is pretty nice because it gives a nice overview of that particular communication with all the communication between the two participants. And you can easily look at the details of a particular message. So I think it's pretty nice to help with troubleshooting a specific call. Another type of query we can do is a query like this one, where I will list all the conferences, and for each conference we'll list basically all participants with their call ID, their IP address, the protocols they're using, and the type of endpoint they're using. So if I run this query, so here I can see the list of all conferences, the conference node, which was hosting this conference, all the call IDs, so basically all the participants who join that conference, their IP address, the protocols they were using. So I can see that for these participants, there were participants joining with H323, with SIP and WebRTC, and I can see the endpoint they were using. So a pretty nice summary, I think, to have an overview of a conference and the participant, and from there to, for example, further dig into this particular call ID if it was the one having problem. So that's it for this demo. So this is the GitHub page, and you will find in the wiki there is all the queries that I was presenting are presented here with explanations. So I hope you enjoy this short demo. Personally, I find CloudWatch Logs Insights to be very helpful and powerful and flexible to help us querying the logs. However, there are two things that are missing, to my opinion. First, the ability to do nested queries, like save the result of a first query in a variable and reuse that in a second query in order to do more complex queries and analytics. Second, the ability to save queries. Sure, CloudWatch Logs Insights saves the history of your queries, but it is hard to navigate through that long history of queries. It would be nice, just like in AWS Athena, to be able to save frequent queries and just pass to it a parameter like in our case, a different call ID, and it will run that query on that new call ID. Nevertheless, I still find CloudWatch Logs Insights to be very powerful for this use case and helping us querying easily through the logs. Since we now have our logs formatted in JSON in CloudWatch Logs, I came up with an idea recently to perform data science on those logs. I will explore this and hopefully be able to present that soon in the next demo. Don't hesitate to reach out if you find this project useful or useless. I hope it is more useful than not to help you with your troubleshooting though. Thank you for watching and see you next time.